I think willing to share what you've done and then asking others for help is part of being successful. And we're not shy. We're not shy at all to ask for help.
Welcome to the Reimagining Home Services podcast. I'm Brady Jolly with my partner and COO, Scott Sharrock. We lead a rapidly growing plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and water cleanup business, and we're on a mission to run a $100 million company. Join us as we walk through the challenges, decisions, and lessons that come with that journey. Welcome back.
Yep.
Excited about this one today. We're going to be talking about some fun things that we've done over the years. Fun, difficult things, I would say. We're talking about launching new departments. So we've had the pleasure of launching HVAC in 2022, early 2022. And then we've had, we kind of, I guess you could say, launched a drain department. Mm-hmm. Drains used to be within plumbing service. So we separated that out. You kind of spearheaded that several years ago. What year was that, you think?
Right when our sewer manager got hired as a drain tech, I would say 2020.
Yeah, right.
Probably is where I would say.
Yep. And then 2 weeks ago, we launched an electrical department. So this is fresh. It's kind of a fresh topic. That's why we're talking about it. So why don't you kick off just what like thought process wise about launching a new department, leveraging our 45-year-old department plumbing, and then getting into these other departments. What excites you about it?
I mean, I think what we're starting to see trend is definitely home services that multiple department, multiple service. So plumbing, HVAC, electrical is typically what you see. You'll see some with roofing. You'll see some with restoration, which we have water cleanup. But your primary are your plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and then we split up drains, which is a completely different topic, but we'll talk about that. I think the importance is it's the customer wants that. The benefits of us having a 45-year-old company is we have 50,000 people that we have a pre-existing relationship that we can talk to and share that with. It's interesting as we've learned and scaled, messed up a lot of things, messed up really tons of things, especially at the beginning. Previously, it was always one of those things is like, don't launch another department until your first or your one trade is really good. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but in ways I wish we would have done it earlier, or faster, or.
Same.
But I think that also shows where you're at the company, like your system and process for your middle leaders, so your business unit managers, your service managers needs to be really dialed in. Your headcount ratio for those leaders need to be dialed in. It's going to be really hard if you have a business unit manager that already has 25 direct reports to have something else added because you're really not at a spot where you can just add a technician and a manager. And we'll dive into that as well. So what I would say is if you feel really comfortable with your system and process, look into it, especially now because it's more aligned with what the customers are looking for versus going to 3 or 4 different providers. And then it ties directly into our membership. So we have several thousand members. We call them our Jolly Home Plan. So essentially what that is, for those that don't know, is they pay us a small monthly fee. We do $14.99, and that gives them included in that is an AC system check, a furnace system check, free camera, free electrical inspection, and a free plumbing inspection. So that's a value for them that is tremendous, right? They have a peace of mind. We get to come out there and make sure that they're ahead of the game versus behind, and it's a Saturday night at midnight and their PRV has failed, or their heat goes out, or even worse, if a panel's out or there's fire risks, so safety there. So I think knowing that you have a membership base, knowing your system process is there, it's probably a good time to start looking at it.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win-win. I think it's really good for customers when we're a multi-department company. It's really good for customers. Probably that's the biggest win because they get one-stop shop, company they trust to do everything for them, right? Plumbing, electric, and HVAC. It's really good for our employees because our employees we have a lot of employees that want to learn multiple trades. We have people that have bounced a little bit back and forth. we are very segmented. If you're a plumber, you're a plumber. If you're an HVAC tech, you're an HVAC tech. Now electrician, you're an electrician. But they do get exposure to each, helping out, kind of learning the systems. Our managers get to learn those systems and expand their knowledge. I think it's great for employees. And then obviously for a company, it just allows us to broaden our opportunity to build revenue and grow the company. HVAC was an obvious one, I think. Going back 5 years ago, it was one, there was a lot of plumbing and HVAC companies. Used to be, I think, like when we started this 2014, single trade, single location. Then it went to single location, multi-trade. And now we're seeing multi-trade, multi-location, right? So I think this rounds out our offerings from Jolly. Maybe there's opportunity to get into other offerings, but maybe in a different brand, maybe not. But how I look at this, electric, as of 2 weeks ago, it rounds us out. Gives us a really good opportunity to just to offer our customers really good, all under roof service. So why don't you talk about the launch process, like why we did it for electric, and then how that all went, and when we started planning it and all that.
So the first thing we look at is our membership base. Like, you want to have a decent membership base. We also work with our marketing company, and they do market share studies. So they're going to show us what market share is available for plumbing, for HVAC, for electrical, and just to simply put, there's plenty enough eating for everybody. But we also identify there's absolutely opportunity for electric. So those two things, memberships, market share, seeing, what it looks like to enter in that type of trade and who your competitors are. And there's a lot of great electrical companies, and but there's a lot more customers that not everyone can get to. So that's kind of the first stop.
Let me do a point of clarification for listeners. In our industry, HVAC's the whale.
Yes.
HVAC is going to do the most revenue. Next is plumbing. Next is electric.
Yep.
So we're kind of going into this understanding our electrical department, we're not trying to build it to be bigger than our HVAC department or even our plumbing department. Now, that said, it can be super high gross margin.
Yes.
Very profitable. It's just probably never going to scale larger than those. So go ahead.
Then we talk to, our friends in the industry. Like, we are members of Nexstar. We have a lot of relationships with companies that have launched other platforms. So having those conversations with them, telling us, what was your experience? What was the, blind spots? How did it go? And kind of getting a blueprint before even attacking it. So I would have those conversations. Who's the subject matter expert that's done it, that's built it out, and get your hands around it. We've just been so lucky to have great mentors, great friends. T.R. Miller, Brian and Jim Sloan, amazing people. Chris Bishop at Davis. Those guys have been huge resources, plus plenty others, to help us launch both HVAC and...
I was with Brian this weekend, and I said, hey, man, what's next? Because, I just, whatever it is, you guys do it for 6 months, and then we'll
copy
it. We did that with electric, HVAC. They've just been an awesome help to us. It's been really good, and they're coming down next week.
Yep.
In a couple weeks to visit us.
So those relationships are key.
Yeah.
I think willing to share what you've done, and then asking others for help is part of being successful. And we're not shy. We're not shy at all to ask for help.
So from a tactical standpoint, I'll just go through the mindset. I think we've hemmed and hawed about starting electric for a couple years probably. And finally, I think it was around super meeting time. Next, our super meeting, that was in September. Me and you just said, all right, we're doing it. We're setting a date. We're going to do it. We were talking to a lot of people at the super meeting, and a lot of folks are just like, man, just do it. You know how that is. You can talk about it all day, but once you put a date on the calendar that it's launched, you got to start working on it. So we threw the date out there. I think we said February 15th, and we just started working towards it. We have a task manager called ClickUp. We built several tasks within ClickUp and assigned those tasks to different managers within the company. We assigned a point person at our company. For us, it's our director of revenue. He handles Corey. He's kind of ended up being a catch-all for a lot of things, but all the sales department, he oversees the HVAC leader, and then service agreements he kind of oversees, and then now electric. And then it was all about getting the license and hiring a technician. So we got a master license technician, and then we hired a journeyman technician who is just a rock star. super pumped about.
One of the things I think you do an amazing job of is building the relationships before you've even thinking about it. So tell the story about, we call him the gas man. I'm not going to say his name because you guys can't have him. He's an absolute stud of a technician. Tell the story about the connection, and this was, a while ago.
Yeah, so the gas man. So I have a 4th of July party at my house every year. And I got some younger cousins that are always there, fun dudes that are just, life of the party type guys. And they're like, hey, you care if we bring some friends over to your 4th of July party? I'm like, for sure. So they all come in hot, like, 10, mid-20s bros.
Yeah.
Been having a fun 4th of July.
All mustaches, just ready to roll.
Bullets and mustaches rolled in. And the gas man was there, and I'd never met him before. But he just said, like, hey, man, you're like super smiley, happy guy. He's like, hey, man, thanks so much for having us. I wanted to tell you I am an electrician, and I know you guys don't do electric yet, but if you ever do, would love to chat with you. Mm-hmm. And, like, this dude's energy was, like, off the charts. So I just, in the back of my head, I'm like, man, yeah, for sure. Got his number right there. Kind of over like 3 or 4 months was just texting him a lot. Hey, here's the timeline here. I mean, that was in July, and we didn't launch the department until like February or March. Mm-hmm. So just kind of stayed in touch with him. And then it's so funny when he came in the office, he had this power mustache.
Oh, yeah. Little thin, crisp mustache.
And right when he walked in, I'm like, dude, nice mustache. And then he walks to the next room. Scott's in there. Didn't even hear me say it. You're like, dude, nice mustache. And then Corey, our director of revenue, walks in, and he goes, oh, my gosh, man, check out that mustache. So Will says, like, we had him right away.
That's the requirement for a 10 out of 10 electrician is they have a good mustache.
Yeah, but honestly, man, like we've talked about kind of like with HVAC, I want to go back to that, the power of the hire, mm-hmm. because with HVAC, we hired 4 technicians right away. Yeah. I think it was 3, actually. And they were good. They were good technicians. None of them are with us now. But it wasn't anything horrible or anything, just natural turnover happened. That was almost 5 years ago now. But we didn't have like a core leader or a core like specimen that's just like jolly to the core, going to go get it, believe in the mission, go get it. And I think that was not any of the fault of the people we hired. They were good people. It was more of my fault and our fault for not like learning exactly what that was, I think. Shortly after the HVAC, we kind of hemmed and hawed. It was fine at first, but it was only like 4 months in when we hired Russell, who's now our service manager. Hired him as
our install lead.
And Jake, our install lead, which was massive. Yes, you're right. And after Russell came on board and Jake kind of got his feet under him, then we got our sales guy, Danny, who was about a year in. Then it's when it started to come together. Like those core pieces, I think you can get into this mindset when you have a big department like plumbing. Like, hey, this person's good. Let's hire them and see how they work. And a lot of times they work, a lot of times they don't. Like, jolly, core values, everything. But when it's that first few hires, it is critical, so important. So I kind of fast forward to the hire with electric, and we were all thinking that.
Yeah.
Hey, we have to make the right hire. Of course, I had made the relationship with Gassy, had a couple other relationships with other electricians. And we had like these 2 polar opposite interviews. Mm-hmm. We interviewed a guy with 30 years of experience, master electrician. I mean, this guy he was an electrician. Yeah. Knew everything about everything. Any job, industrial to residential. New build, had done it all. Not going to find a guy with more electrical knowledge. There's nothing against him. He's a good guy. He just wasn't used to like the style that we run and the system and the
experience. Like we want to provide experience.
And I think that that trigger of like customer service and not that he wasn't good at customer service, but it just wasn't, the feel wasn't there that like this guy's going to be a jolly employee, honestly. Now the thing about Gassy, he's only been in the business for 5 years, journeyman electrician. It wasn't like he was working at a company like ours. He wasn't working at like a Nexstar company or a company that had these systems and processes. He was working at a very small company, but it was just immediate that what drove him was giving people really good service, helping people, taking care of customers, being part of a good culture, being empowered by everybody, being part of something special. And he's just like automatically like first day we hired him, huge part of the culture.
Yep.
He's already got some awards. Seems like every single company meeting we've had, we're shouting him out. So
Highlight.
yeah, I can't double down enough on how important that first hire or first few hires are in these launches.
We've said a lot. I'll just frame it really quick. Network. First step is network. Know the people that are doing it and that have experienced it, and then start networking and building the connections to make the first hire. The first hire is the most important hire. And it's very hard. The second little piece of that is you don't have to do it all at once. We learned that with HVAC. We overhired. We overstaffed at the beginning. And that was a really great experience for us because now we can do it right, build it out, then scale. So it doesn't take, to launch. I think really when we did HVAC, it was 5 hires between service, sales, and install.
I think you're right.
Just ripped it right at the same time and let it go.
I also think that we decided like on a Friday that we were going to start HVAC, and then and then like Monday we were starting it. So
Well, a good buddy of ours, he was our coach. His name's Rami. I think that same Friday he's like, "Yeah, you guys definitely shouldn't launch HVAC." And then Monday we launched HVAC. But
it was a little quick.
But good experience.
Quick. But look at it now, and we wish we would have done it
way
10 years
earlier. Way earlier.
I know. I think that you can have that. It's just it's fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're standing there at the edge, thinking like, when do we jump? What we got a parachute, but is it going to catch us? I don't know. And like you're like, it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Me and you probably live a little too far on the edge of just send it and go. I mean, it's bit us, a couple times, but it's been good sometimes too. Like I'm a big believer in just do it.
Yeah.
Like you can research it and run the numbers. Obviously, you got to be diligent in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a big believer in if you know it's going to be a good thing for your company and you have peers around that have done well, just send it, man. Just do it. I'm looking right now at our. I want to get tactical. About how we did it. I'm looking at our ClickUp tasks. We use ClickUp to manage all our task management for our team. These aren't going to be in necessarily exact order, but here are a lot of the tasks, and then there were several subtasks, obviously, of each of these, and we can drill down into some of these. So hiring the technician, getting the master licensed technician, those are two tops, right? Have to have them. Once we started to identify those things, here are some other things that we did. Building the price book was important. The truck, getting it purchased, and that's not just buying a truck because you also have to stock the truck, know what to put on the truck. So we had to build a stock list, used our friends to do that. Had a lot of licensing stuff that we had to do with the state. Here, we're multi-state, Kentucky and Ohio, so that was a bit of more of a challenge, I think, than we thought.
It took us longer than we thought, but we got it done.
Yeah. Building our marketing plan, that was a huge one. We worked with our marketing partner. We can drill more into that. ProBook, so that's like our outbound texting campaigns to our customers. There's a lot of work in just setting up a new department in there. Obviously, that goes without saying, like all the data and setting up like scorecards, all the Excel sheets, bolt onto our budget. Right away, I built a budget. That was like the first thing that I did when we identified a timeline. Complete guess on how many calls we think we can run, how many service agreements, how many demand calls, conversion rate and average sale. I mean, I say it was a complete guess. It was based on what other
historical benchmarks that we've seen.
Yeah, based on what our friends in the industry have done that we know through Nexstar. And then got that to our data team to go ahead and bolt that on to our current budget. And that budget actually starts in March. So the first month or so has kind of been just gravy. So let's drill down into those.
Yeah.
Talk through like building the price book.
I'll start. Yeah, price book's great. T.R. Miller and Davis, can't thank them enough for helping us with that. So what we do with our price book, we want to be able to make sure it aligns in two places first. So the first place is the job task. So think of like an outlet switch. We need to make sure the sold hour on that, we call it wrench time or sold hour, aligns to what we believe because everyone's a little bit different. So we go through every price book item that's in these two different price books for electrical only. And first we determine if we want to keep it. Most of the things we keep. Then we determine, okay, we sit down with our fleet inventory warehouse who is tied to our price book, and then our manager and electrical technician. We go through every single line item and make sure that we agree that the time of the wrench time is aligned to what the price book says. The second piece of that is making sure the material, one, we can stock, two, the material cost inside that price book matches our vendors. So that's a much bigger and longer project. The sold hour you could get done in a couple of days. The material takes some time. And some of it's going to be job costing and fixing it after. You might have a little too much material, you might have too less, but we job cost every job. You mentioned data. I'm not going to go there yet. I'll come back, but that is a big portion to make sure that it's aligned. And you're not going to hit your price book day one. Period. Even if it comes from a different company and it's perfect for them, your vendors are different, your technicians are different. There's a lot of variables. Even the type of work can be different. That's the big piece. So we have to have the price book set up so our technician can run these, membership calls, do the thorough evaluation, provide that experience for the customer versus custom estimates. And then you don't even know your margins and we're just guessing. Like, eliminate guesswork, talk to your network, figure out what they did, make adjustments. The second piece right after the price book is the truck stock. So Davis and TR both hit us with the truck stock list. We chose to go about 25% of that. Very bare bones at the beginning. We don't want any dead material. So when it's first starting, it's okay to have parts running. It's okay to have your technician run to the shop. When it starts to scale and we see tasks repetitive, we know they're used so we can set the appropriate minimum and maximum for the truck. We don't want to have $10,000, $15,000 sitting on a truck and never be able to get rid of it, or if we're going to use it, or different circumstances. So that was what I would suggest too. Put a lot of work in your price book. Make sure the sold hours and wrench times right, materials right on those, and then go with a light truck stock.
Yeah.
Like, don't overstock, don't overspend if you don't have to.
Totally agree. I think we learned some of that in HVAC.
Yeah.
We went with the full, just balls to the wall, perfect launch, build out the truck, hire a bunch of people, and it was expensive and it drained us with HVAC.
Yeah.
This is, I don't want to say we limped into this because we're all in, but this was more of a safe deployment of electric. I think that's totally fine. I really like that, actually. It's not like we bought a big company or we just hired a couple people and put them out in a truck and, one technician that's generating revenue. So, and I think that's okay because we're going to give ourselves this whole year to learn. Hopefully we have the demand and we can hire people. I kind of want to go to how I built the budget and how I looked at that. Kind of looked at we talk about run rate. So what percentage for our service agreement run rate, what percentage of our service agreements are we going to run a maintenance system check for? So I think I planned on 25%. 25% of our customer base we can run.
Very attainable.
Want to run an electric check for in a year. Mm-hmm. So we took that number. We took average sale and conversion rate and average sale for what we think we can do based on some of our friends in the industry, and we built that. So for service agreement checks, we chose a 25% conversion rate at a 750 average sale. So once we took that, we said, what about demand? We talked to our marketing company, our SEO company, what they thought they should generate. We got super conservative about that. Literally only budgeting for 10 to 12 demand calls a month. Mm-hmm. That's it. Demand call is just somebody needs electric work, right? And I think we're going to blow that out of the water, but we wanted to get super conservative. So then we said for those demand calls, we think we can be 60% conversion rate at a 1,200 average sale. And then that's the basis of it, and then that spits out the revenue. And then we did some calculations on what labor percentage based on what this guy makes and how much material is generally for electric jobs based on what our friends say. And we're trying to attain a 51% gross margin. The cool thing about electric is once it gets rolling, this is first year budget, but once it gets rolling, it can be one of the highest gross margins.
59, 60% gross margin.
You can almost achieve 60%, higher than plumbing, higher than HVAC service, higher than HVAC install, similar to sewer install, which is one of our favorite businesses. Yeah. So that's what got us excited. And
yes.
I think that 50%, as I'm launching a department, if you can launch a department in the first year, be at 50% margin, that's really good. That's really good. And then we've talked about it on here before. We set a budget and we set a vision. So then we set the vision number and we just cranked that up a little bit. And that we cranked up to like a 54% margin with a little more revenue. So, I mean, this whole year, we're only planning on $250,000 of revenue for the first year. You know, one technician, $250,000 of revenue. If we get more demand calls, we are ready to scale it. But I think that it's a little counterintuitive to how I normally think, and I think even how you normally think. Like, it was hard to build a low budget.
Yes.
Because it's like, man, I just want to come in and go all in, and I want to build $1 million budget right away. But I also don't want to set up our overheads to that and come in with a failure right away, you know, and we need to learn this business model.
Mm-hmm.
The next piece was marketing, obviously a huge piece to that. How do we let our customers know? So we've done a couple things. We did a really candid video just of me explaining it in the office. You know, this is why we're really excited about it. We're now in electric, you know, about a 1-minute video. Our marketing partner, Tilted House, helped us with a press release we sent out to a lot of press around town, posted it online. Of course, they had a layered social media campaign with that video and several other announcements. We sent mailers to all of our customers announcing that we're now in electric. Had electric deals for our membership, coupons to the membership. The recent acquisition that we just did, we sent them electric information saying, hey, you know, we're now in electric, not just heating and air and plumbing. And then I think one of the most important things is the conversations we've had with Ferocious, our SEO PPC company, building out the LSAs, building out the PPC, and just for us, like honestly getting an understanding of that and trying to learn like how much is a lead in electric. We haven't been dealing with that, and we're still in the process of learning that now. And then also talking to them about what's the expectation? How are we able to get leads?
One of the things that I will kind of pull off that SEO conversation, I am far from a marketing expert, but my number one observation, when you're wanting to scale or add trades, make sure your Google reviews are dialed in. Like, it's amazing to see the impact that it's already having on electric and where we are ranking because of how many Google reviews that we have. So it's really cool to see. We were in the past 90 days, we were the highest rating at a 4.94 in our area, which allows us to be in like the 2 or 3 spot for electrical.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's
really cool. Get your Google reviews in. That's going to help launch anything and also grow your other trades.
Yep, that's a great point. You know, the market share study was really important too. But 2 things: market share study, just how big is the electric market and where should we target it? It kind of aligned with the targeting area is going to align, I think, with plumbing and HVAC. And then we used some of our media partners to do a study based on who our competitors are. One of the things that I was most excited about electric, and this is nothing against the competitors that showed up on this, really good companies, but when you do HVAC, same thing. Who are the biggest competitors? It's a survey. 1,000. How they do it? 1,000 people take a survey. Who would you call if you had an HVAC issue? Who would you call if you had a plumbing issue? Who would you call if you had an electric issue? They ask them several questions. The companies that come up on HVAC and plumbing are the big dogs.
Heavy hitters.
Really good competition. They're the ones that are spending $4 million, $5 million in marketing. Challenging competitors, good companies. We know them. We know people that run those companies, and some of them are private equity owned, like really good companies. Stiff competition. We feel like we're up to the fight, but it's challenge. You know, it's challenge. I think what I'm so excited about electric, it was definitely a less sophisticated company. It was a lot of more old school companies, been around, great reputations, been around for a long time. Nothing against that, but it was like the companies that are probably not completely dialed into the marketing studies and marketing spend. They're not the ones spending a lot of money. A lot of them are still single trade, just built on reputation. So especially in our county, I feel like we have so much market share to go grab. And I think that in some ways it could be less challenging to grab that market share than in these other fields where there's just such big players.
I agree. And the data shows us that we're using the data to drive those conversations and decisions. We really lean on our marketing agency for that.
Why don't you talk about ProBook campaigns and internal messaging? You know, we talk about sometimes, and I think the mistake I made with HVAC, when we launched HVAC, I was thinking, man, we have 40,000 loyal customers for plumbing. And imagine when we tell them we're doing HVAC, they're going to flock to us. Well, they didn't. They were very loyal to us and very loyal to their HVAC company. Loyal customers got an HVAC company to be loyal to. So we quickly found out not a lot of our, like we're having a hard time converting a lot of our customers. Like I thought year one we might convert 20% of our customers or something. It wasn't like that. It was like 5%, you know? And it's been a little bit harder. But I do think that we realized, okay, we have to work really hard to cross-sell, promote, have technicians cross-sell. You're not just going to unlock, hey, we do HVAC and everybody flocks to you. Or, hey, we do electric and everybody flocks to you. We really have to work on that. One of the ways we're doing that is outbound texting, email campaigns. So talk about ProBook, especially with the ProBook campaigns you've set up.
Yeah, so ProBook is a software that bolts on that allows us to send text message campaigns to our memberships and also all of our customer base. So essentially what that allows us to do is let our membership base know, hey, we now offer electric. This is part of your membership at no additional cost. And we set those thresholds, right? Maybe we'll have 25, 30 a day go out, and they're usually tiered. So that one message to a customer may have 5 text messages where it's kind of dripping, and just to keep them informed on, you know, what we're doing, and now they have this service. So the second piece of that is your call center. Your call center has to be outbounding to your customers, letting them know, and cross booking when have the customer on the line. So anyone calls in for a demand call, letting them know we offer electric if they'd like us to look at that as well. And definitely for memberships. Hey, part of your membership is also, I know we're coming out for your furnace check. Part of your membership includes an electrical safety inspection. Let's go ahead and get that on the schedule too. And customers really like that. Your tradespeople don't love when we have multiple people in the house. There's a lot of sometimes back and forth if we should do it or not. But a customer's home, we want to take care of them. There's value there. So using some sort of tool to reach to your customer outside of your standard marketing strategy, direct mail, email campaigns through Service Titan, LSA, all that thing. One thing we haven't even talked about yet, this led us to like the rebrand.
Oh,
You want I don't even know if you want to go there, but I just thought about that. That's a big conversation, and it's been fun.
yeah, massive. We're going to have a whole episode on our rebrand. The rebrand should be coming out officially like within a month. It's terrifying to go through this. I mean, it's big. It's big. It's a big change. You know, the realization was, what do you just keep adding trades and just keep adding it on our logo? You know, Jolly plumbing, drains, heating, air, electric, water cleanup. It's getting clunky.
Yes.
When I did this rebrand in 2015, it was a plumbing company only. Plumbing fit really well in this. And there's just a lot of challenges. I mean, we're going to have a whole episode about it, but we need to be able to talk about our brand in a clear, concise way that customers understand. And the reality is we've been around for 45 years as a plumbing company. People in our area know us as Jolly Plumbing. We have so much growth opportunity in our own area in heating and air and now electric, that we kind of just need to reframe that we're a trades company, we're a home service company, we're not just a plumbing company. You know, I have friends that I'll say something about heating and air. We've been doing it for 5 years, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys did heating and air." It's like, how many millions of dollars in marketing have we spent, and how much we talk about it. And there's like literally people in my circle that don't even know we do it. It's because it's so ingrained that we're just a plumbing company, and we're in this every day. It's not a high interest category. Like, we're not selling iPhones. We're selling HVAC, plumbing, and now electrical work. So it just the repeated how you have to hammer it in people's head what you do. And I think this rebrand that we're doing, man, it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking.
Can't wait. Now, I will say, don't be intimidated to launch a trade and think you have to do a rebrand. You absolutely do not have to do a rebrand. it was the perfect timing for us.
We did almost $1 million in revenue in water cleanup last year, and there's nothing on our logo or website about, like in our brand about water cleanup, right? So it's okay. It's maybe not optimized, but it's okay. And we tried to not let that get in the way of electric. That was a big barrier to be like, oh, well, it's not. How are we going to? And then we're like, let's just launch it and figure it out. Now, with our new marketing company, that kind of after the fact was like, hey, you guys are starting electric, a really good time to rebrand. You got this big marketing spend. So we just made the decision, rip the Band-Aid off and just do it. And I cannot wait to launch this, man. It's going to be, I think it's going to shake some things up. It's going to be an exciting rebrand. It's going to be really exciting. So more to come on that. I just kind of want to close by saying we are the furthest thing from experts in electric and how to run an electrical company. This is all preliminary. We might come on here in a year and talk about it again. We're definitely going to be talking about how the electric went. And we might say all that stuff that we said during the launch, let's change this and this.
Yep.
So I just want to throw that out there. We are in the early days. We've done $12,000 of revenue in electric in the history of our company. So I think that's kind of what this podcast is about, though. We want to take people along the journey. We're going to tell everybody about the good, bad, and ugly that happened with the electric launch. This is the mindset now, but I can guarantee you that there are going to be some things that change about it. Right?
For sure. I think that's fair.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Reimagining Home Services. We're super excited that we'll have 3 episodes every month come out. They're going to be on all your major platforms, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and also leave a comment if there's a topic that you'd like us to cover.